All right, show of hands. Lives touched by cancer. Yourself or a loved one. Look around. All of those lives changed the moment they were diagnosed. And from that point forward, they were living with cancer for the rest of their lives. Hopefully long lives, but always living with cancer. There is not a cure. There are treatments. The key moment in all of those covered lives and all of those cancer lives is the diagnosis. And that diagnosis happened through pathology 100% of the time. If it was identified on grossing, just looking at a lesion, or radiology, they still took a sample and they confirmed it. It's the only FDA-approved primary diagnosis for cancer. That puts a huge load on pathology. An underappreciated department within a lot of these healthcare systems that is shrinking. The number of pathologists who are leaving the field is greater than the number of new graduated medical students who are entering the field. And in fact, the enrollment of pathology graduates from medical schools is at its lowest point in history right now. That's why those diagnoses are taking so long. And that's also why a lot of them are happening poorly. Pathology departments are responding to this challenge by doing what radiology did 20 years ago, by getting rid of chemistry and films. Remember the metaphor, slap an x-ray up there? Nobody slaps x-rays anymore because they're digital. And that's what's happening to pathology. In fact, standing on radiology's shoulders and using many of the same tools. Digital pathology is growing 15% year over year. It's a $6.4 billion market by 2020, according to BCC research. And moving that fast, we're seeing the bumps in the road. Mark Tudhill, who runs the biggest path lab in the state, calls the current state of pathology technology a technopoly. You buy one walled garden and then you have to have pure fealty to that one vendor, soup to nuts. Scanner, codec, storage, stain, viewer. These are great scanners. He doesn't like the software. So a team of really passionate, really annoyed pathology informatics professionals saw these problems and they took a clean room approach last year to solving them by producing a virtual microscope. That's a screen that does what Leeuwenhoek's eyepiece would do, and doing it with a for pathologist by pathologist methodology, making sure that this is the tool that if you're a pathologist, I see one pathologist out there, are there any others? Okay, that's typical. That's what we were talking about. Room full of entrepreneurs, all adjacent customers. No Slideless customers. Nevertheless, it's a crowded market. It's a market full of vendors who are covering their butts. Folks who produce imaging systems who really like it that pathology images are 10 and 100 times bigger than the radiology images that those systems are already managing. That's Sectra and Siemens. Or they're running a cytology lab, they're running workflow management and blood tests, and they don't want to be left behind by some technopoly purchase, some 7 or 8 figure purchase that then renders them obsolete. So the Cerners and the SunQuests are looking to add digital pathology to their lab information systems. And then you have the e-pathology solutions. These guys on the left are the Death Star. These are your walled gardens. And so the approach that Slideless takes, not only doing a little bit of cheesy PowerPoint animation, is to empower the rest of the market to go and wipe out the technopolists. All right, that's my one bit of PowerPoint animation for the day. We're making a big bet here that the regulatory regime that is currently holding back this field is going to break, and it's going to break very soon. Currently, if you make a scanner, you make the entire software stack. It's a class 3 medical device. It's a heart-lung machine, basically. And the amount of organizational fortitude and inertia and capital required to enter this market is at the very highest level of medical device. And this is my 5th medical device. Instead, what we're going to see here is breaking those 5 slices that I gave you before. The scanner, that's the eyeballs on this picture. That's going to be a class 3 medical device. The codec, maybe also. But the storage and the viewer, that'll be a medical device data system. That'll be a class 1 medical device. Our business model, or 3, for the next couple of years, we're YouTube. Get as many eyeballs as you can. Go to research, go to preclinical, especially education, where we were this morning, and get as many users using this interface, this pathology-friendly screen microscope as possible. Our next business model is the iTunes App Store. Fill that App Store with all of the coolest algorithms imaginable, all the digital stains that let you see the data within the data. And then our final business model, though we were told this morning in Discovery that it should be our first one, is Uber. Some labs are going to innovate hard and fast, and they're going to be able to drive down the cost of reading slides and drive up their workflows, and they will attract more business. Other labs will be late adopters. Their costs will not be competitive, their turn times and their error rates are going to be higher. And they'll end up outsourcing, or their CFOs will, to the labs that are the early adopters. Some people have cars, some people need rides, Uber. I am privileged to work with some very smart people on this project. And they're all sitting in row 4. Let's give them a hand. Chris, Jeff, one of the great things about this team, they've been through Entrepreneurs Discovery University. They get how being a year worth of kind of basement hacking and fixing things because they wanted to is the best foundation for a venture. It's better than looking for co-founders. They looked for me. And we all agreed. It's a timely opportunity. We're actually already late. We need to accelerate our development because the pace of filling this technology gap is only going to accelerate. Cancer diagnoses are only going to rise. Pathology practitioners are only going to shrink. The bet that we're making on the regulatory regime, well, it's a bet the company bet. The vendors who are currently in this space are covering their butts. And we are very pleased to announce that Slideless, last week, hit first revenue. We have a bit, thank you. We have a beta license to sample our integrated viewer and digital stain for a year and learn as much as we can and get as many eyeballs as we can. Thank you very much. Now, in front of you are Star Trek-like communicators with a little button on them. When you press the button, you're amplified. Who's got the first question?
Who would like to ask the first question?
Who's up?
Right here.
Go ahead.
Why is pathology enrollment down?
I think 2 reasons. 1, no glamour at all. 2, no patient contact. So the glamour aspect is you're dealing with tissues and bodies, and the patient interaction, you're actually interacting more with primary care docs, oncologists, and specialists. So the doctors who are the young people who are going into medical school who have, and I heard a great description from the dean of the University of Pennsylvania Medical School this morning of these highly intelligent, highly aggressive students who are getting 2400s on their SATs. They don't advance to a career in order to be sitting in some basement looking through an eyepiece all day. That's not why they became doctors. That answer your question?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Please.
What percentage of the images that are currently created from pathology are really accessible to you at all?
5%.
5%?
5%.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's
Even with those walled gardens, there's no export capability.
Isn't that weird?
No, I totally get it. It's
Yeah.
monopolistic, right?
Thank you. All right, who's up? Yes, Diane.
How do you make money off just eyeballs? The analogy was YouTube. Okay, we're all looking at your slides.
Mhm.
Now what?
So quick answer is we're planning on losing money as hard as we can for a little while to get those eyeballs. all right, so truth be told. But there's revenue here. There's revenue from our beta licensing. So we're planning on making money through licenses and services, being the bolt-on for everybody who wants to get into this space and not have to give way to the technopolist. Yeah, it's not a BDC, so there's like no reach, no glamour in this room. Roger, you raising your hand? You just, yes, please.
I think maybe it was Watson or some artificial intelligence program, something like that, that seems to have like accuracy rate of like over 90% or something, as opposed to real doctors who are doing diagnostic that were like maybe 70% accuracy.
They're reading ductal carcinoma in situ. That's a radiology film that is typically the output of a mammogram. And the Watson error rates are very good, and the FDA won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. It's a secondary or tertiary. They still want a pathologist made of meat looking at other meat, making that distinction. Within Slideless, though, anybody wants to develop an AI pathologist, that's just an app in the App Store. Good question. Please, go ahead.
What's the biggest threat to the business?
Oh, regulatory.
And how are you
Absolutely.
hedging against that? Or are you?
By being global, by working in the markets that are most available to us. What you see a lot in medical devices, not just in pathology, is venue shopping, looking for the market that is the best market for this particular device. And if it's a physical device, then there's a lot of manufacturing, quality, logistics, ISO 1345, ISO 15189. As a software platform, or in the cloud, we're global from the start. So this is really a question of where are we going to market first, not where are we going to be housed. Thank you. Please, in the back.
So is this similar to like Figure 1?
Say again, please.
Is this similar to like Figure 1?
I wouldn't know. What's figure one?
Figure 1's like it's kind of like a social media platform for doctors to post different images and stuff. They'll post like, I imagine like pathology slides or whatever else, and then talk with other doctors, get an
That?
What?
Kill slide. That's my dream job.
Oh, okay.
I'm reading slides on the beach. All right, you have time?
No, we have time for one more question.
So-
One more.
Please.
What was your background that you came across this opportunity?
Right place at the right time, I think. The formation story is a rather odd one. I'm a VJ at science fiction conventions. One of the members of the team picked me up at a science fiction convention where I was VJing. Said, "Do you got a day job?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I commercialize stuff." It was like, "That's a job?"
All right. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.